9 months ago, I couldn't do a single pull-up, and today I can do 10 clean reps. Push-ups went from 5 shaky reps and barely being able to do them to 30 solid ones. I built real strength without ever stepping foot in the gym, just a pull-up bar and bodyweight training at home. And if you've been putting off getting in shape because gyms intimidate you or you just don't want to deal with them, then this is for you. I was skinny fat, and you most likely know the look. Soft around the middle, no muscle definition, and generally talking looking really weak. I couldn't do a single pull-up, and push-ups were also impossible. I got winded up just walking upstairs, and gyms, I looked at them and I thought, monthly fees, commute time, working out in public with people who've been training for years, none of them really appealed to me. So the honest truth is, I've never been to a gym and I cannot tell you what they are really like, but the idea of them kept me personally stuck for a very long time. Maybe gyms are great, but I never needed to figure that out because I'm introverted. I wanted a solution that fits my personality, and that's when I discovered calisthenics, body weight training. I went all in and bought a pull-up bar, a walking pad, gym rings, dip bars, and started with the basics like push-up progressions, squats, and dead hangs because I couldn't even do a single pull-up yet. And you know, the first 2 weeks, honestly, they sucked. I tried to do way too much, way too fast, and my form was terrible, and I would skip some days because I didn't have a perfect plan. And now I also had built up a lot of pressure for myself to make this work because I spent all of that money on professional equipment already. But then something shifted and I stopped trying to be perfect and just focused on showing up like 3 to 5 times a week for 5 to 45 minutes, and that's it. And here's what made it work for me. I could train in an environment where I actually wanted to be. There was no noises, no crowds, no commute. It was just me, my pull-up bar, and my favorite music playing in the background. That's when training stopped feeling like a chore that I had to do and started to feeling like my time. So if you're someone who doesn't want to go to the gym, then you don't have to, because that's not laziness. It's actually just knowing what works for your life. The weight loss came from walking 10,000 steps and eating in a calorie deficit, but the strength improvement, that was 100% calisthenics. Pull-ups went from impossible to routine now. Push-ups went from 5 shaky reps and barely being able to do them to 30 solid ones. My body didn't just look different now, it also performed different. And it is exactly as they always say, form comes after function. I really love that quote. But here's what nobody tells you about transformation. It's definitely not linear. Some weeks I'd see no progress and other weeks nothing really changed. And there were days where I didn't want to train and days where I ate a little bit too much. And then also days where I questioned if this was even working. But the difference here was I kept showing up anyways. And on the training side of things, I just stuck to 3 to 5 sessions per week, 5 to 45 minutes each, and it was nothing crazy. It was just very consistent at the beginning. On the nutrition side, I aimed for about 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per pound of body weight, and some days I hit it and some days I didn't, but that target kept me at least honest. There was barely any meal prep Sundays and no Tupperware army needed, just making sure I got enough protein most of the days. Chicken breast, any lean meat, eggs, oatmeal with protein powder and fruits, and I just really kept it simple. And I walked a lot, 10,000 steps every single day, but not because it's some magic number or something like that, but just because it kept me moving and helped me with the calorie deficit. The moment I realized it was working, well, I was getting dressed one morning and I coughed my reflection in the mirror and I had shoulders, actual visible muscles for the first time, and I looked stronger. That's when it hit me. I'd spent like years thinking I needed a gym membership to transform my body, but all I really needed was consistency and a plan that fitted my lifestyle. First, progressive overload. You're constantly making exercises harder. You, for example, cannot do a pull-up, then you're starting with a dead hang, then negatives, and then you're doing assisted pull-ups. Your muscles don't really know the difference in between lifting a barbell or your own body weight. They just know tension and resistance. Second, the functional strength. Every exercise uses multiple muscle groups at once. A push-up isn't just the chest muscles, for example. It also uses your core, your shoulders, your triceps, even your legs for stability. So you're building strength that actually translates to real life. But real talk, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I skipped warm-ups thinking I was way too cool for them. I paid for that with sore elbows for like 2 weeks straight. I tried to progress too fast, and ego lifting with terrible form didn't make it better. All that did was slow my progress, and I had a higher risk of injury now. And I definitely compared my day 1 to someone else's year 2 on social media. Just don't do that. Your only competition is yesterday's version of yourself. Don't compare yourself with anyone else. That's going to just interrupt your flow, and you're going to feel like you're not ever doing enough and you're not looking good enough. So just forget about social media. You are your own competition, guys. Learn from my mistake, warm up, and focus on form over reps, and stay in your own lane. Let's talk about the practical side. A gym membership usually costs anywhere in between $10 to maybe even $60 per month. Some of them are even more expensive, but let's take those numbers as an example. So you would need to spend $120 to $720 per year, plus maybe you have a commute time of, let's say, 20 minutes each way, and that is 40 minutes per session you're not actually training. And in my case, my setup is my gym rings, my dip bars, a somewhat professional freestanding pull-up bar, but you could get one for as little as $25 already on Amazon to get started. And the rings that I use is not really mandatory neither. You don't have to start with rings. You really don't need to go all in as I did in the beginning. And then maybe you get some resistance band for $12, and then you have a total of $37 one-time cost compared to the monthly fee of the membership in the gym. And here's the thing about gyms. They are not evil or anything. For powerlifters, bodybuilders, or people who need specialized rehab equipment, they are probably even necessary. But for the average guy who wants to lose fat and build functional strength, they are optional. And I'm living proof of that. No commutes, no monthly fees, no waiting for equipment, just consistent training in an environment where I actually want to be. This is for anyone who wants results without the commute or the fees or the crowd. So if you're an introvert like me who values privacy and control over your environment, this works. If you're busy and need something that fits into your life instead of taking over your life, this will work. And if you've been putting off getting in shape because gyms just aren't your thing, you don't need them. You never did. So how do you actually start? You need a pull-up bar, and that's the only non-negotiable that we have. $25 on Amazon, and you can just install it in any doorway that you're walking through every single day. If you have absolute zero budget, then you can try to find a temporary solution. For example, you could get started in a park that's close to you, where you maybe have access to a pull-up bar or maybe a tree. And if that is out of question, then you maybe have a very robust closet at home. But if you don't have that and you are going to a park and you are an introvert like me, then I really recommend to go to the park in the evening when there aren't as many people around. Then the other thing that you could potentially get is resistance bands, and those ones are optional, but they would be really helpful for assisted pull-ups at the beginning and adding also resistance to other exercises, and those ones cost like $12, and that's it. And then you have like $37 in total, and that's most of the time less than one single month of gym memberships, which is kind of insane. We're going to focus on 4 movement patterns. The first one is push-ups and variations. Then we have the pull-ups, rows, and dead hangs. The third one would be squats, lunges, and pistol squats. That's the squats with one single leg. And then we have the fourth one, the core work, where we're doing planks, hollow holds, and also leg raises. And you're going to start with whatever you can do already. And if you cannot do a push-up, for example, then you're going to do them on your knees or against the wall. And if you cannot do a pull-up, then you start with dead hangs, for example, 10 seconds. And we are going to build from there. Step number 3 is training 3 to 5 times per week. And depending on the training method that you are using, all you need is about 5 to 45 minutes. And I know that you think now 5 minutes, that is not enough. That's completely absurd. You will not be able to build strength like that. But here's the thing, there is a way of exercising where you start at your failure point, maximizing your progress and minimizing your time spent. And that's perfect for anyone who is busy. So I totally recommend that form of exercising, and I explain it all in one of my other videos, so you can check that out in the description down below. Step number 4 is progressive overload, and every single week you're going to try to do one more rep. You're holding a position 1 second longer, or you're just simply making exercises a little bit harder, and that's how you're building muscle and strength. And the 5th step, and based on that, is that you are going to eat enough protein, and you should aim for at least 0.8 to 1 grams per pound of body weight. That could be like chicken, any lean form of meat, eggs, Greek yogurt, protein shakes. Just make sure you're keeping it simple, that you can actually stick to your new diet to make sure that you're having enough protein and that you are able to repair your muscles. And step number 6 would be walking 10,000 steps every single day, or at least most of the days in a week. And this is not about hitting some magic number or anything like that. It's just about staying very active and creating a calorie deficit without sacrificing too much food. You could listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or music. Make it as enjoyable as possible walking this 10,000 steps and get your somewhat passive 300 calories burned in every single day. Let's talk about what you can realistically expect. In your first month, you will build the habit and you will get stronger at basic movements. And your strength gains will be already noticeable, and exercises that felt impossible are starting to feel somewhat manageable. By month 3, you will see real progress, and maybe you are already doing your first unassisted pull-up. That would be insane. Also, your push-up numbers will have maybe doubled. That would be also really good. And you can hold a plank now for 60 seconds. By month 6 to 9, like me, you could go from 0 all the way to 10 pull-ups already, and you could build a legitimate functional strength. The weight loss was just a bonus. It was a side effect that came with the diet and walking a lot, but the strength, that will purely come from the calisthenics. And the key to all of this is it only works if you are consistent. Not perfect, but consistent. And you will miss workouts and you will have bad eating days and stuff, but that is completely normal. Just make sure that you are getting on track the next day, because this is the huge difference in between people who transform their lives and bodies and people who quit. Once you have mastered the basics, the progression in calisthenics never stops. Archer push-ups, one-arm push-up progressions, one-arm pull-ups, weighted pull-ups with backpacks or maybe with a weighted vest if you have one, pistol squats, handstands, full body planches, all of this stuff that makes you look like Superman and all of these super crazy cool looking things. Calisthenics has a skill tree that goes as deep as you want, and I'm still learning new movements and progressions even 9 months in. And the difference between now and when I started, well, I'm not intimidated anymore, and I know my body and I know what works. And I'm super excited to see what I can do next. So where do you go from here? If you can't do a pull-up yet, start with my complete pull-up tutorial. I break down the exact progression from dead hangs to your first rep. The link is in the description, and also it will pop up here on the screen in any moment now. If you want to know how I handled the nutrition side and lost 30 pounds during my journey, I have another video on that too. And for my complete calisthenics system, more exercises, progressions, full routines, I've put together an entire playlist, and everything you need is in the description. But here's what I want you to remember. You don't need a gym to get strong. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need to be naturally athletic or anything like that. You just need a pull-up bar, consistency, and the willingness to start from 0. 9 months ago, I was the guy who couldn't do a single pull-up. Today I can do 10, and if I can do it, so can you. Thank you so much for watching. I see you in the next one.